Here we are, we're live. So hi and welcome. You're watching us live and in the moment. And this is me and my friend Adam Quiney, and we're gonna go on a deep dive together for the next hour. Welcome. If you're here with us, then it means that, let me slow down. I'll tell you why I'm here, and then I'll see if I can assess why you're here. And Adam will find out why you're here. I was talking to the team of coaches who helped me lead my intensives this morning, and we were setting context. We spend months preparing for an event. We've got one coming up in March, and we got together on a Zoom call like this. And I said to them, one of my favorite quotes is a line by JFK, John F. Kennedy, who said, "The only reason to give a speech is to change the world." And I said, that's the place I come from for anything I do. The only reason I run an intensive is to change the world. And so, Adam, the only reason you and I are here together right now is to change the world. And when we come from that context, who knows what can happen, but what a powerful context for us to have. If you're watching us right now, then here's what I invite you to do. Turn off your distractions. You can sit here and have me in the background and be checking Facebook or doing some email, or you can choose to get really fully present. We don't often do that in life. If you want to be a really powerful coach, if you want to be paid a lot of money to be a coach, then you know how to get really, really present with the person in front of you. One of my clients says, I think I've paid you more money to say nothing than anyone else has ever paid. And there's a reason for that. We don't often have someone who sits with us and is willing to get that present and really listen deeply to us. So I invite you to do that right now. Turn off distractions and get fully present. We call it, in our world, we call it playing full out. And playing full out means being here right now, not half here and half somewhere else, fully here. I invite you to let go of the need for information. Today's not a conversation about information. You may pick up bits of interesting information, but listen to this conversation between Adam and me for insight, not information. If you listen for insight, then a single insight can literally change your life, can literally change the course, the direction you're going on. When I lost my job 10, 12 years ago now, all of my friends were sympathizing with me, apart from one. My friend David, when I told him I'd lost my job, he said, "You lucky bastard." And those words changed my life. Listen for insight, not for information. Here's how I'm going to play today. I want to teach you a really simple and powerful system to find your story. And I'm going to practice what I call coaching my ass off. And Adam, I'm going to invite you to play by being as fully present as you can. And we have an agreement in the community that you and I are in together. Adam is a member of 4PC, that we play a game called hide nothing, hold nothing back. So over here, I'll hide nothing and hold nothing back. You up for doing the same?
Hell yes.
Awesome. And we're playing the right game. And at some point during the end, I want to talk about the intensives that we run. We've got one coming up very soon. I want to let you know a bit about how we play this game and why we do what we do. And there's actually a special offer we have for you if you want to hear about that. Because if the only reason for me to be here right now is to change the world, then I'd be holding something back if I didn't share with you a reason to spend even more time with me, people like Adam and the rest of my community, because we create something really powerful and unique in the world. And I want to share that with you. And if you see me looking over to the side, it's me looking at my notes to make sure I cover everything I want to say at the beginning. So Adam, you're going to be with us on our coaching team. You're a member of 4PC. You're a powerful leader and coach in your own right. And when I said, hey, I want to coach somebody deeply today, you said, okay, I'm in. And for me, well, let me tell you my story for a second. I'm going to take you back in time. I was a really lonely kid. I grew up feeling really lonely. I heard a guy talking to some entrepreneurs recently, and he said to them, when did you first know you were different? And all the hands went up, and somebody knew at 5 and somebody knew at 7, and they all knew at a young age they were different. I knew I was different, Adam. I just didn't know it was okay to be different.
Mm.
It took me most of my life, to be frank, to get to that place. So I grew up really lonely as a child. And I grew up from this place of wanting and trying to prove myself to my dad. That's all I craved in my life. If I can just prove myself to my dad, then I'll have whatever it was, his love, his affection. You know, he was an entrepreneur, and when I was a kid, and he worked really hard, and he wasn't around much, and I missed my dad, and I wanted my dad to be around. So I took on this message: if I can prove myself to dad, then I'll get what I really need. So we can never have enough of what we don't really need, right? I spent most of my life then chasing the things that I thought would get me what I wanted. So I became a really high performer. I became really successful in life, whatever I did. And it came from a really unhealthy place, because I'd have, still to this day, it sometimes happens, I'd have success at something in life. I'd give myself about 25 seconds to acknowledge myself, to feel good, before I started saying, this is where I should have done it better or differently, or this is what I should be doing next. I'm on to the next thing, 25 seconds after I've accomplished the first. And I felt powerless for most of my life growing up, and then much of my adulthood too at times. And so this guy who felt lonely craved community. He just didn't know that community was something that you can create. And it turns out all these years later, that's what I do. I create communities of really extraordinary people. People who think they're different, like I did. People who are lonely, like I was, who want a community of really fascinating and interesting people who are like them, or who are going to challenge them or interest them. And that kid all those years ago who felt powerless, well, he put his attention on trying to make a difference in the world. And it didn't back then come from a healthy place. And now, well, now it's exactly what I get to do. Every single day I wake up and I know that I'm making a difference in the world. Whether I'm talking to someone like you, or I'm running an event, or running a program like 4PC. And you see the loop is closing each time on each of these ways that I was in the world. This boy who was lonely, this boy who was powerless, or thought he was at least. And as a young kid, I was always fascinated by leadership. I used to read about Stalin and Hitler because I couldn't understand why people would be drawn into following leaders like that. Over the years, I had so many leaders. I learned most of what I learned about leadership from the bad leaders that in the organizations or teams that I was in. I was always fascinated by leadership. I got made school captain at 11 years old and had no clue what it even meant. Somebody said one day, "You're the school captain." What the hell does this mean? And I remember telling on some kids because they'd done something naughty the next day, because I thought, well, maybe that's what you're supposed to do. And then I got in real trouble. The kids hated me. Nobody ever told me about leadership, but I was fascinated by it. And now, again, the loop begins to close, because it's who I've always been. I've always been a leader who was afraid, a leader who didn't know what he was doing, a leader who was taking risks, a leader who had success, a leader who struggled. But again, all these threads begin to close the loop. So these days you ask what I do, and I would say, well, what I do is what I believe. And what I believe is that leadership is very lonely. And everything you've done to make you as successful as you are today is precisely what's going to hold you back from the next level of success. And it's why I work with extraordinary people who are very high performers, and as leaders, they're very lonely. And they don't understand why their success is holding them back from what's next. And I've coached Olympic athletes, presidential candidates, special forces operatives, and serial entrepreneurs. And it all is informed by my story. And I wanted to put that into the room as our context. I know some of that you've heard before, Adam, but it bears hearing again, because it gives context to why we do what we do. Otherwise, how do you say what you do? What do you do? Well, I talk to people and their lives change. Or I'm a coach. Everyone wants to put us in a little box, right? And what I want to help you to do today is to use this tool to draw out who are your dream clients, but actually more importantly, who the hell are you? What's your story that's driven you throughout your history Well, we're going to see the loop close, and it's why you do what you do and why people are going to be drawn to you. So let me check in. I did a lot of talking in that moment because I wanted to set context, partly for everyone who's watching who doesn't know this, but actually for you where you do know this, but as you hear it another time, for things to click into place and see what's coming up. So let me just check in to begin by asking, what have you got? What insights have you had so far?
The first thing that really struck me was that I love that question of when did you first realize you were different? And like you, the way I would describe it is I never felt like I fit in. And so I became a master of trying to fit in. And I've heard you describe some of your people as they rarely feel lonely, but they often feel alone. Mm-hmm. I rarely feel alone. I can surround myself with people easily. I can connect superficially very well, but I often feel very lonely. And that's kind of the nature of being a master of fitting in, is I can figure out how do I need to be with these people, but then like I'm kind of leaving part of my humanity, I guess, in the background or not showing up.
Can you feel lonely in a crowd?
Oh, easily. Effortlessly. It's like a zone of genius.
So take me back to little Adam. What was little Adam like? Like little Rich was nervous and insecure, and what was little Adam like?
Terrified of being a loser. Funny, but desperate to keep the laughter going, because once it stops, you might discover that I'm a loser. And I remember really we'd ask people to play, call them up. Hey, do you want to play? It's Saturday. Do you want to play? And sometimes people would, they'd already have plans or there was something on the go, and that was crushing to me. So I don't know how I would describe that. I guess like just really terrified of being left out, or maybe not even terrified at first, probably just really hurt by being left out, even if it had nothing to do with the other person or the circumstances or anything.
Take me back in time. When did you first have that thought about being a loser?
The earliest memory I have was in probably around grade 6. So I would have been 11 or so. And 2 girls, I can still remember their names. I will not share that. But I was talking to one of them, and I can't remember how it came out, but she kind of laughed and said, "Oh, you don't realize you're a loser?" And then she called her friend over and was like, "Hey, he doesn't even realize he's a loser." And so in that moment, I did a couple of things. First, I was like, shit, I'm a loser. That sucks. And second, I decided, well, only thing worse than being a loser is being a loser and not knowing it. So I'm going to own that shit. I'm going to fine, I'm a loser, but I'll work with it. I will use that to my advantage. I'm going to make sure that I'm not caught off guard and knocked off my horse by that ever again.
I'm a dad with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so it breaks my heart hearing that story. I can't help it now.
Yeah.
Because all of us as children, something happens and we make up what it means. And you heard that and it had an impact and it had this ripple effect for the rest of your life until this moment here right now.
Yeah.
Most of us don't actually turn around and look and catch it. That you do is because you're immersed in this world of personal growth. But it's such a powerful, that one little phrase that girl may not even know what she meant by saying it. Who knows? Yeah. But it had such an impact on you. So I've been called a loser. Now I better own it, because then at least I'm a step ahead of those kids who don't even know they're a loser.
Yeah. I'll make fun of me better than you will. I'll get everyone laughing, right? I can use the wit. Look, everyone's going to laugh at me, but at the end of the day, so it kind of protects me, but it's also like, oh, I'm creating that same thing I'm afraid of.
So how did little Adam handle that? How did little Adam, what was his strategy to either own being a loser or move beyond being a loser?
So the first one is what I just described. Like, I'll be better at making fun of me than you. So at least the people are laughing kind of with me, at me, instead of at me.
Yeah.
And another one was to be hyper vigilant for bullies, like anyone that would be a potential threat that might poke me in that spot, and then either avoid them or eviscerate them before they had a chance. I just basically cut off their legs before they even, knew what was going on. And then great, they're no longer a threat. Humor or intellect. Yeah, those are the weapons of choice. Like, really, I would just float something just above the top of their head and they'd kind of be like, ha, this is funny. I think everyone's laughing. Why do I feel like I'm losing a pint of blood? This is weird.
So you were a smart kid?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
I was smart and my parents pushed me to be smart. But I was also I was never as smart as the smartest kid, or at least never tried as much as the smartest kid. And I also remember having to hide that because, at least where I grew up, nerd and loser were pretty closely equated. And so I don't want to be the nerd. I didn't want to be the SWAT, as you guys might say in the UK. I didn't want to be the guy that was bookish and really brainy. So I kind of had this, I'd show up smart, but not too smart. It's almost like a schizophrenic relationship to myself, to my intelligence.
So let me ask you, there was an insight that happened just now. It looked like, was it the only reason you didn't let yourself become the top of the class is because then there'd be a stigma attached to that, and you actually held yourself back?
That's what I was wondering. I'm not sure. I know that I didn't want to work as hard as my parents wanted me to work. So maybe it was to avoid that stigma. Maybe it was to avoid if I work this hard and I get best in the class, then I'm going to have to do that the rest of my life. Joke's on me. I still try to do that anyhow. But I'm not totally, I don't have that clarity, but there's probably something there. Or maybe I'm just not that smart, but I don't like that one as much.
You were a smart kid. You knew you had to hide it somehow.
Yeah.
You're terrified of being a loser. And your strategy for handling that was to make fun of you first, or to somehow make fun of the people who could potentially put you in some kind of danger, making fun of them being smarter than them.
Yeah.
What made you cry as a child?
I think being left out, but in particular, I can remember, can I share a memory?
Yeah.
I remember there's a movie called Shirley Valentine that you may or may not have seen. This woman goes to Greece to discover herself. She comes home. Her husband's not a very good guy. And there's a scene where he's waiting. I think he's trying to reform himself. So he's waiting at the airport holding some flowers, expecting her to come back. She's met a guy. She's decided she's going to stay in Greece. And I just remember sobbing, just racked with sadness for that guy. He's sort of trying from a place in his heart to show up and to be a better man. And it's he's, in some ways, I wonder if in this moment, maybe he felt the same way I did as that kid, being a loser and not realizing it. It would have been different if she'd come and told him that, but he's just there, like a loser sitting there. So heartbreak really makes me cry, and love makes me cry too. I can't watch even the dumbest comedy in the world where the two leads get back together without sobbing. Yeah. And that was there as a kid too. Yeah.
So what did it mean to be a loser? I've got my context for it here now in 2017. What did it mean back then?
I think I've thought a lot about that. And I think it's like, just like no one wants to be like just left out. No one wants to be with you. I don't know if it's quite the same as unlovable, but like there's like a flavor of being left all alone and just like, we're all going to go play over here and you can sit over there on the swing set, which I would then find ways to like, wow, I'm really enjoying the swing set by myself. Like I got really good at being that loser and finding ways to empower that.
And what was the opposite of a loser?
Cool guy, cool kid. Maybe the word stud feels like that. Cause as I say that, there's some energy around it.
Tell me more about who the cool guy was.
Girls liked him. He was never without a loss. Like he never seemed to be flustered or flummoxed. Definitely didn't blush when embarrassed, or when he did, he could talk his way around it. No one laughed at him. Good clothes. Just checking in to see if there's anything more. The hottest girls liked him too. Yeah, it's not just that girls liked him. The best girls liked him, in my childlike mind.
Yeah. What makes your clients cry, Adam?
Let me just check in. So a couple of things I can think of. There's like the frustration when they can't get something, when they can't figure it out. That often brings tears. Because in my experience, they feel stupid, and that's really painful. I think they have that softness too. Like when they're really present to love, that really tears them open. And I think it's tough because my clients are really good at like, they've learned to numb their hearts really effectively. So they don't cry often. They're pretty cut off from that particular experience, kind of like I was.
Yeah.
And sometimes still am. But I want to say like the fear that they're not going to like, there's one client in particular that keeps coming to mind where just asking for what she really wants makes her cry. Like it's just she's gotten so good at not asking. And that's really hard for her. And it brings tears up every time.
I can relate to that. I know how hard it is for me. I realized last year I needed to take time out for myself. So asking my wife that I wanted to go away and take 10 days alone because I needed time for myself was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean when your clients say they feel stupid?
Can I go back 1 second and just put in, there's something I just got clear on, which is that I think my clients are more facile with anger than sadness. I think that's the emotion we tend to be, that's a little more comfortable and familiar. So that just,
the we being you as well as your clients.
Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. For those of you who are watching, we did a webinar a few days ago around what I call the 6 boxes exercise, where the insight at the end of it for almost all of us is that we are our dream clients. So when you get that, you can really get clear on, what makes your clients cry because it makes you cry, what frustrates them because it frustrates you. And so say more about that.
About which part? I think, well, so for me, the way I might have sort of constructed it, I guess, is that sadness is something to be laughed at. To some, there's like a patheticness to it. This is my relationship to it. Whereas anger is something to be feared. And so, at least in terms of being a loser, better to have people fear you than to have them pity and find you pathetic.
Were you an angry child?
I think I learned to push that down more, but it would show up as like frustration. Yeah, lots of frustration. Yeah. And do you want me to answer, like, kind of speak to what does it mean being stupid? Because something just came to mind too.
Yeah.
Being laughed at. I remember, because I share a stupid memory of a perfect example of that. I remember in grade 4, I must have seen some TV show. I was watching it where there was some running joke about a fur-bearing salmon, like a fish, with fur on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in class, my teacher was talking about fish, and the interesting thing is fish don't have fur. I don't know if that's true or not, but whatever. And I was like, no, you're wrong. They're like, the fur-bearing salmon is the fish. And he started laughing, and then everyone started laughing because I was insistent, and I'd seen it on this TV show. And I feel like there was a point where I kind of made this pact with myself where I was like, fuck that feeling of everyone laughing at me. I did not like that at all. And so that, I think that is like my first memory of really feeling like just like a dumbass. You idiot. Yeah.
And I'm imagining there's two ways that as a youngster you might handle that. One is to withdraw and not be out in the world and be quiet and not say much. Mm. Then you'll avoid that in the future. And the other one is to get ahead of it and be the entertainer, because then you're in charge of getting the laughs because you wanted it to happen.
Yeah, and there's also secret option number 3, which is make other people feel stupid.
All 3, or one of those which was your strategy?
All 3. Yeah, because I'm a hard worker. I'm not just going to settle for one. Huh.
And so there's a positive side to making other people feel stupid. The positive to that is just work on myself to become extremely bright. Work on myself to learn as much as I can learn.
Yes.
True for you?
Yeah. And also it was great as a lawyer.
So that gets you to the doorway to become a lawyer, and it helps you be successful as a lawyer. Speak to that.
Well, so like there's a lot of ways you can make people feel stupid. You can read a lot and do a lot of research, and I like that anyhow, but it kind of it connects. You can condescend. You can point out the flaws in someone else's argument. You can draw comparisons that are unfavorable, and all of that. One, let me not feel. No one was laughing at me because I was the smart guy. People would, in fact, even sometimes defer to that persona. And, those are all amazing skills as an attorney, to do a lot of research, to make someone else appear stupid. That's a great way to have a decision go in your favor or your client's favor. Yeah.
What do you do, Adam? Tell me today, if you're going to say to me, describe what you do, what do you do?
I hate this question. Well, I'm not going to answer it with what I do is what I believe. What I do is I really connect brilliant people with the depth of their hearts. People that have learned to just numb this thing, to put a ball of ice around their heart, because that way we don't feel heartbreak and anger, and we kind of protect ourselves from the world, and we protect the world from ourselves. And what that does is it's safe, but it's also colorless and gray, and there's no love or excitement or passion. I bring the colors back into the world for people.
Now, the challenge of saying something like that is people often aren't at home craving that thing that we know they need.
Yeah.
So brilliant people aren't sitting there thinking, all I'm missing is the depth of my heart.
Yeah.
What are they missing? What are they craving? What do they think they want or need? Why do they come to you?
Yeah. This is really where I'm struggling, is that I notice the pattern tends to be like we cut this off, we numb that, and then just live from here, and that makes it really hard to dream. You know, this is to solve problems, and we're very good at solving problems, but not so good at dreaming, and also not so good at feeling pain or something that's missing, because again, we've numbed our heart. And so I would have to say that my people come to me because they feel like this vague, there's a couple of reasons. Sometimes shit just goes terrible and they're like, oh my God, I'm successful, but everything's fallen apart. You know, that's after like a long enough time, but more often than not, it's more like this vague uneasiness, like I'm successful and I'm doing well and I'm making lots of money and I have the nice car and I can't stop myself from drinking or cheating on my partner or getting stoned or whatever it is. And even that doesn't feel like, I just feel bland. I'm bored. Life is boring.
Take me back in life for you, where life's been boring. Where was life boring for you, and what did you do? Yeah, what was that smart?
I've shared this a bunch, just not in this format, so it's a little edgy. I remember working as a project manager, and I was good. I was good at that. So I have a background in software before law, and I used to code, and then I worked my way up to project manager because I have ostensibly soft skills. And I was good at that because I like to organize things and have it all planned and neat and control everything to eliminate any risks or unforeseen circumstances. And so I can do that really well, but then this is totally a metaphor for the way I do life, incidentally, but I got really good at that. And then my job was kind of dialed in. And so I was, by dialed in, like in control. It was very easy. I could probably do most of the work I needed to do in 3 hours. And from that place, I was totally bored, totally safe, no fear, no excitement. And so I started doing things that I'm not at all proud of, like showing up to work and getting stoned. Because, not as an excuse, but I think the rationale was, God damn, I'm so fucking bored. I need some excitement and I can get away with this. I can do this. I can still do my job in those 3 hours and then spend the next 5 hours doing whatever I want. That's the sharpest, kind of most embarrassing story I can tell about my boredom and how it shows up.
Well, thank you. I acknowledge you for being this vulnerable. It's good stuff, right? We're getting to the heart of your story. What's the laughter? Laughter often comes as a release.
I was just like, well, I shouldn't have agreed to lean all the way in. Should have leaned 90% in. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Many of your clients bored when they come to you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, bored or kind of sometimes the other, actually both bored and frantic, I would say.
Speak to that.
I'm just distinguishing it in this moment, but there's something to like, kind of like boredom's like, well, I've got it all figured out and it's all controlled and it's safe. The other side of that is like, it's like trying to solve your email once and for all. Like it's infinite. There's always going to be more people to connect, talk to, support. You can never really truly solve your email once and for all. And so the flip side of that boredom is where we are trying to get it all handled, to get life all handled. And then that's impossible. That's a fool's errand. And so we get frantic. So that's the other place I can show up.
Mm.
oh, if I could, I've got almost everything sorted except for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other things.
Okay, it's coming to me. I'm getting this. This is the challenging part of what I do right now. I'm trying to pull the threads to weave and see how the story lands, and it's coming together for me. So let me play and see what comes. This is an art, not a science, but I'm hearing a story and seeing a narrative through your life and seeing how that fits in with your clients, because brilliant people aren't sitting at home thinking I'm missing the depth of my heart and I'm craving love and excitement and passion. They don't know that. If they knew that, they'd be following their heart and having the love and excitement they need. Yeah. So our clients come to us for what they want, and then we have to find a way to give them what they actually need. Let's throw this one out and see where this one goes. Okay, I have to get into the zone for this, and I'll talk to you as if I'm talking about Adam, okay? That's the way it can work best for me. So let me tell you about Adam. As a child, Adam was terrified of being labeled a loser. There was a moment when a girl even called him one. And what was even worse than that is the thought that he might not know it. So if there's a moment like that happens in your childhood, one way of handling that is to create a new mindset, a new way of operating, so that can't happen again, because there's nothing worse than that as a child. Not only being called a loser, but not even knowing you are one. So the way that you can handle that is to have it all figured out so you can be safe. And that's what Adam wanted. He wanted to figure it all out. He became a problem solver. That's what he did. Anytime there was a problem, he'd find a way to solve it. Now, there's a problem with being a problem solver. You can get so good at solving problems, you unconsciously create new ones just to solve them. And you live in a world that can be frantic because there's always challenges occurring and you have no idea you're even creating them. That driver to have everything figured out and feel safe is what actually creates challenges as life goes on. So your world feels frantic, and people come to Adam sometimes because their life is frantic. They know they're extraordinarily good at solving problems, and it doesn't seem to help. There's always more. The other challenge of being a problem solver that Adam found in his own life and his clients find is that if you're a problem solver, you operate at ground level. You're solving the problems that are here at ground level. And you don't get a chance to ever get ahead of yourself to be at 10,000 foot level or the 30,000 foot level and really vision and create a powerful and extraordinary future. So if you're a leader, you could be an amazing leader to people because you're solving all the problems that occur. On the inside, life feels really frantic, but there's something really missing because there isn't an opportunity to put a vision out there and really bring people along. You get bored too. You get bored of always solving these problems. You get bored because there isn't a vision or a dream to step into. And here's what I see in Adam too. Adam learned to get really good at the hard skills of life and business. He became a lawyer. He was extremely bright. He learned how to solve problems, see connections, solve puzzles, do things in an extraordinary way because he was super bright using his intellect. And what was missing, what Adam now sees, and it's the gift he gives to his clients, is that if we have our intelligence that's based up here, it's missing the other 80% of our body. So there's an intelligence in our hearts, and neuroscience shows this. And we talk to leaders who know that have had an experience of They've walked into a room and they felt they could cut the atmosphere with a knife. It didn't come from up here. Leaders who have seen an amazing hire on paper, and the person's come and sat down with them, and their whole body says, no way. Leaders who on paper have a business plan that tells them the next 17 steps they need to take, and then their gut intuition says, fuck that. I know what we need to do to be successful. And Adam helps leaders take the super bright intelligence up here and map it to the intelligence in their heart and their gut intuition to give them their fully rounded vision, fully rounded wisdom. You combine that full body wisdom with the vision that they get, plus the problem solving skills they already have. And you take these people who are bored, where life is frantic, and they get to create an extraordinary life and make an extraordinary impact. Whew. So I had to get into that, and I'm putting bits of the map and my notes all. So how does that land? What occurs? And I'm not attached to being right.
Yeah, no. The thing that so it all lands. The thing. A couple things show up. So the first is every time I represence myself, like your words are, first of all, I really acknowledge your gift with words. And I love how you took the soft stuff and turned that into like vision and leading people from that. Cause I've not done that so far. So that's a little heady, but the thing, whenever I presence myself to those people, to my clients, I have so much heart for them because I remember this one client of mine wrote me and I asked her a question and she wrote back and said, boy, that was a retarded question. I guess your brilliance really left you on that one. And, of course, my first reaction was, fuck you. But I just really, as you speak that, and when I presence myself to my clients, I'm really aware of like, that's 5-year-old Adam learning how to condescend to not feel stupid. And it sucks because they're heartbroken and they don't even realize they're heartbroken. That's got to be the worst. That's double heartbreaking. And so that's what I get present to. It's not that they're a loser. They couldn't be a loser if they tried.
Yeah. Because you never were a loser.
No, I was good at dressing and yeah.
Yeah. I look back to pictures of myself before a certain age and I see the photos from the family where I was dancing and free, and I just think, oh, what happened? There was a moment I made up these stories, and that little kid who dances and was free and has fun, my mission is to get back to him.
Yeah.
Or to remember that he's inside. How do I bring him out? Because he's never left me.
Yeah.
That's our mission for all of us. That's what we do with our clients, and that's what we're doing here with you, to bring back little Adam before he heard that story that girl made up and maybe didn't even remember 10 minutes later she'd said it. She'd heard it on TV, and who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I deliberately, when you said the soft skills, that really resonated with me, because the kind of leaders and brilliant people you want to work with understand what it means for the hard skills in life. Fiduciary skills, financial skills, skills of negotiations, all the stuff we call the hard skills. But you ask any business owner or leaders of big organizations, the biggest problems they face in their organization, it's communication with the team members. It's a breakdown because the leader has this big vision and doesn't translate to the people, or they're frustrated because my team members don't get along. And so what we call the soft skills, when you can help your leaders to feel their heart, you can't move people unless you feel moved yourself.
Yeah, it's even like I just got, they're so fucking good at, as have I been, at getting the hard skills. And then someone's like, you get a performance review or something, like work on the soft skills. It's our It's the same thing. It's our ability to develop hard skills that gets in the way of soft skills, because you don't develop those the same way. We're like, oh, hey, got it. I'll have a heartfelt conversation. Here are the 3 things I need to say. And I'll start with it's like, no, there's no heart in that, man.
Well, it's also why super successful people are often struggling in their relationship with their children.
Yes.
Because the marginal benefit of spending another hour in the office, I can measure that by the number of clients I get, the amount of money I make, the feedback I get on my 360-degree profile from my boss. But another hour spent with my wife, there's no way to measure that. And I never know if I'm going to get some kisses or get her pissed off with me because I said or did the wrong thing. And what happens, though, these leaders get to a moment in their life when they turn around and realize my marriage is breaking down. My relationship's about to end. My children aren't speaking to me. That's when they feel their heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the breakdown. Presence is it.
The story's in here, Adam. The problem solver who wasn't able to vision and dream. The man who had it all figured out, and then life got safe. The man who learned to hide out, even amongst other people, could be lonely in a crowd. Frustration is a big theme. And so speaking to these concepts, these words, it's going to have your people realize this man understands me in a way that nobody else ever has. Now you'll have to play with this. This is the start of what becomes something powerful, and we begin here and we'll see where it goes. Oops. You have to, well, this is it, right? You have to touch the hearts of the people you want to speak to. So you've got to speak their language. What we've been doing is translating what you do. Mm-hmm. You've got to translate what you do so those people can hear you.
Yeah.
Let me come back to you in a moment. I want to segue into something different for a second. I want to come back to you. I want to see, when I come back to you, I'm going to ask you, what's your biggest insight been in this piece of the conversation? And it sometimes takes time for the insight to sink in. So take a moment. If you want to jot anything down on a piece of paper, I want to speak to everyone. I can see the chat box going in the bottom. I'm not reading the messages right now. I can see there's over 400 of you here with us right now. That's a bit intimidating, Adam.
I'm glad you said that number afterwards.
So, look, this is what we do. We run intensives twice a year. They're usually in LA, and this year we're only doing one in LA and one in London. And what we do, we bring a community of extraordinary people together, and we get to play, and we get to go deep like this. Some of the time it's me working with people on the stage in front of the room. Some of the time, I'm an introvert. It doesn't mean I'm shy, but it means that when I'm around lots of people, I can get drained of energy. And so when I created events that had 100, 150 people in, I said to my team, I want to make sure that our events, if you come to one of our events, you walk through the door and you never feel drained by the people who are there. You have your small community who can really serve you the moment you walk through the door. So you'll have someone like Adam. Adam will be there leading one of these groups, and other leaders in my community too, who will, the moment you come through the door, say, hey, you're in my team. I'm going to take you under my wing. Sometimes to nurture you, sometimes to challenge you, sometimes to make you feel uncomfortable. We call them intensives for a reason. They're supposed to be intense. If you want to feel comfortable, don't come to one of our events. But we have a few seats left in the end of March, beginning of April, the intensive here in LA, and we've got some tickets available for London in September. And we wanted to let you know about that. I wanted to give you an experience, at least, live and in the moment, of some of the work that we do. And I'll model it right now. You know, the way I say it when I'm teaching clients how to enroll is you have to enroll as if you're enrolling the way I would tell you about my kid's birthday party. So Monique, my wife, puts on amazing birthday parties for my little boys. It's just her thing. It's not mine. We've over the years had petting zoo. We've had Mr. Bubbles who blew life-size bubbles that the kids could get inside. We've had a birthday cake in the shape of a fire truck and a bouncy house with Lego pictures on the front, because that's what makes my boys feel alive. And when I invite you to my birthday party, I invite you with the kind of energy that it'd be fucking awesome if you come. And if you can't, that's totally fine, because we're going to have an amazing time. And I'm inviting you to join us right now, the next intensive, with the same energy as I have if I invite you to my kid's birthday party. It would be fucking awesome if you want to come and join us. We have an extraordinary group of people who've come back, many of them 6-7 times in a row. We have an amazing community. This lonely child over here, this introvert who got drained of energy being around lots of people, has discovered, it turns out he's really good at creating community. Community where you feel safe, community where you feel loved. So go to richlitvin.com/intensive and put in the code STORY, because it will save you $300 on a ticket price. And I'm looking here, the offer expires at 11:59 p.m. this Friday, March the 10th. So if you want to come and join us, there are a few seats left. At this price, it's $300 off right now. Ticket price will be $15.97, and you've got until Friday midnight, basically. Come and join us. We play this game. We've got an extraordinary community of people around us, and it's what we do. And we come from that place of the only reason to do anything is to change the world. Look, I know my team are on the chat box right now, asking you guys if you've got any questions. Put your questions in there. Here are 4 of the questions I hear most often. I'm a new coach. Is this for me? It's the wrong question to ask. The similar one I hear sometimes is that's quite expensive. Is it worth me spending that money right now? It's the wrong question to ask. Come from the place of, I am a new coach and I'm going to get the value that I want from being at that intensive, because I'm going to play full out and I'm not going to listen for information. I'm going to listen for insight, and a single insight will change my world. You've got to embody what it takes to be a powerful coach the moment you walk through the door. We have new coaches. We have experienced coaches. We've got coaches who've been coaching 20 years and coaches who've just started their practice. You get to decide if you get value from playing with us. Do you belong in the room? That's your decision. The second question I hear a lot. People ask about the cost. Well, you can see it as a cost, or you can see it as an investment, and you get to choose. I tell you this, we're going to ask from you far more than money. We're going to ask you to invest your time, your energy, and commitment. We're asking you to come in and play full out. If that's not for you, then don't come. This isn't for everybody. And at the end of the intensive, we have, for the first time ever, we put together something to really support you in building your coaching practice and having you and your clients really succeed. So what I suggest this time around is come and play full out, and then join us in what we're calling the 90-day money game. For the next 3 months after we're complete, you get to play with us live in a Facebook group in actually creating clients. I think that's it. Those are the main questions we've had in advance. I'm going to see if live questions, how many people, sorry, Danielle's typing for me, how many people will be at the intensive. We have about 150 people at these intensives. And I spoke a lot on this call and seemed to tell Adam things. Can you talk about what I chose to do for this type of coaching session? Yeah, this was something unique. This was me drawing out Adam's story. This is me listening to Adam a lot and helping to craft what is his story into something powerful for him. I'll check in with you in a second, Adam, and see how this landed for you. It's very different to how I coach most of the time, which is creating a lot of space and silence, but I've got a deep relationship with Adam. He's in 4PC, my community of high-level leaders and coaches. There's a lot of trust between us already, so I knew I was safe to dive in, and I wanted to pull out this story. It was the intention of this call, right? It was to teach you guys a tool that we used, pull out the story that's your history, and the story that informs why your clients will work with you in the future. Adam was so easy to coach. Lots of comments on that. Speak to your relationship. All right, Adam, you speak to that. Tell me, like, what's What's going on here that made you so easy to coach?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm delighted to hear that, because my experience of myself is regularly pretty uncoachable. Uh, and then, well, I think that it comes from, you and I had set a container to begin with, but we were also both committed to being all in and fully vulnerable. And I think that, the fact that I'm willing to share that story now that I know to 400 people, it makes coaching a lot easier. And then, I'll also add, just I've done a fair share of work too. So there is that as well. I don't want to step over that fact.
Yeah, you've done a lot of deep work. A lot of it we've done together.
Yeah.
We have a phrase that we use in our community: perfect vulnerability is perfect protection. And as edgy as it feels to share that stuff, it actually gives you a chance to have some freedom on the other side of it. Someone asked how we can draw our own stories out. Well, how do I answer this one? I've been working on my own story for years, crafting mine, drawing mine out, because of the coaches I work with. This is what I do in when I'm working with my clients and help to draw out their story. We're going to do some more of this, model more of this at the intensive. There's no easy answer for that one. You see, even with Adam just now, where I helped him to draw out his story, we've got some real tangible threads now, and we should catch up again, Adam. I don't know whether I'll do it live like this. It might be cool to actually see where does it land. And here's the fun of it, right? I think I told you this story yesterday. I was talking to a financial advisor a couple of days ago, and he's a new guy I've started working with, and he started asking me some stuff about the numbers, and I shared with him. He was creating this spreadsheet for me. And at some point he says, "Oh, you know what, Rich, I didn't actually ask you, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, what I do is what I believe. And what I believe is that leadership is really lonely." And I spoke a little bit to the kind of people I work with and what I do. And he said, "Oh, so you're a life coach then?" It's like, oh, fuck. So look, there'll be times when you crop, you know what, actually, as I laugh at it, the truth is, he's not my client. When you have a powerful story, it's a filter and it's immediate. That guy works in finance, does things around budgeting. He's not the kind of people I work with. So of course it didn't land. But it was just amusing to me. My wife was next to me and we put ourselves on mute and we were both laughing so much because she knew how much I worked on crafting these stories so that my people can hear me. So how's your story relevant to client creation? Well, if you can tell a powerful story, that's what get your clients to come and sign. Nobody signs up with you because you say, "I'm an ontological coach. I teach the 3 principles. I help people to feel their heart." They sign up with you because they don't hear your story. They hear your story through their story. That's the power of telling a powerful story. Your people will hear their story through your story. How does talking about Adam's past link to his vision or future? Well, you answer that, Adam. Tell me now in this moment.
Well, I think in 2 ways. The first is that the stuff I decided I didn't have in my past turns out to be exactly what I am. Of course, I would fear being a loser and left all alone. I bring connection into every room I come into. And seeing that in my past, like it also kind of lights the way for the future, like for actually what there is for me to do is to get, I am that, and to lean into that, to bring that into the world. And then I think our struggle, whatever our struggle is, creates us as a warrior for something in the world. And so my struggle with boredom and like, I am a warrior for my clients to be inspired and turned on and a light in their hearts and their life, because I've felt that struggle and I know it myself.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Really powerful. Adam, thanks for playing with me. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for risking sharing the way that you did. I really acknowledge you. That takes guts, it takes heart, and you're a role model for that.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next here in LA. And if you're watching and you're already planning to join us, it's going to be awesome. We're going to dive in deep in ways we haven't yet played before. We like to share. I have a high value on adventure, so I never like to do the same thing twice. We're really shaking things up for this next intensive. And if you're not yet signed up, come and join us either here in LA in a couple of weeks' time or in London. I'll give you the details again, richlitvin.com/intensive. Use the code STORY and you'll save yourself $300, and you have to do that by Friday at midnight. Thank you, guys. I see all the chat box, all the messages of thanks. I really appreciate that. It's hard and edgy for both of us. For me, well, I'll do this for a couple of minutes too. All right, I'll take you behind the curtains. Whew. Yeah. I just noticed I sat back in my chair for the first time, Adam, because I've been sitting forward. There's been a tension in my body because I want to really serve you, but I'm aware that I'm being watched too, right? I don't want to let people down. They came here for something powerful. I want to make sure I can deliver. And there's a trap in that. There's a trap that to be really powerful as a coach, you can't be attached to getting results. You don't serve your clients. The biggest gift you give them is to be less attached than they are. And I just see in this moment as I've relaxed for the first moment since we began the call, because this is the edge of me teaching and demonstrating the work that I do rather than just doing it in a closed room. But I want to do that. I like to open the curtains, to open the kimono and show what's going on. I don't see many coaches willing to do that. And I want to be a model for that, where we can actually demonstrate this work that we do. And it's how we play. So thank you for watching us. It feels good that I've let that one go, because I get to just fully present with you, Adam, before we go. So thank you guys. In a moment I'm going to scan down those messages to see all the things that have come in. I can see a little notes of love coming up right now, but I'll take a moment to read that in a minute. Adam, thank you. Those of you who are going to join us in LA in a few days, get ready. It's going to be intense. That's why we call it an intensive. And if you're coming to London in September, we'll see you there too. Love you. Thank you, guys.